We're recording. Hello, me again, Kyra, and my husband Derek, who is super pumped that he's still doing these.
Always.
Yep. So I'm going to move back to the Adobe info that has the case roleplay, so that way Derek can be a little bit of a cheater bug here. Um, this is case number 2 with Jane, the 60-year-old divorced female. But for Derek's sake, we're going to call this person Derek, and he will be a 60-year-old male. Sound good?
John?
You could be John.
I'll be John.
You could be whoever you want. Okay, so let's get started. Wait, are you John?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, John. I'm Kyra.
Hi, nice to meet you.
It's lovely to meet you as well. So I'm the behavioral health person in the clinic. Did Dr. Holland tell you I would be popping in?
Yeah, he mentioned it.
Okay. So have you ever heard of behavioral health services before?
Just in passing, nothing in particular.
Okay. So I really like to think of myself as the life skills person. Like your doctor can tell you things like you have chronic pain or any other diagnoses like that. And my goal is to take those diagnoses and help you find ways that you can change your life to better manage them. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So tell me a little bit about what's going on with you, John.
Just a couple of different things. I've kind of been dealing with chronic pain for a long time. I'm dealing with osteopenia and some anxiety and depression issues.
Gotcha. So tell me a little bit about your osteopenia and your pain.
The chronic pain is just, it's kind of come and gone for years, and it's just been getting worse lately.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it's been hard. It's, like I said, it came and went and comes and goes sometimes, but lately it's just been getting worse, and it's there more often than it's not.
I'm sorry to hear that. So tell me about your anxiety and your depression. Is that because of your pain, or is it kind of...
Yeah, a little bit of it. The anxiety, I think, is just kind of comes from I'm worried a lot about hurting myself more or doing something, not being able to do something that maybe I need to do or want to do. And I think that kind of builds into the depression a little bit. I kind of limit my exposure to exercise. I've put on some weight in the last few months, I think because of that. I don't go out as much. I kind of try and pick 1 or 2 days of the week to go out and get all my stuff done. So it probably doesn't help my depression in regards to getting out.
And in my line of work, we call that a feedback loop, where you start with the first thing, which is your pain, which impacts your anxiety, which impacts your ability to go out, which in turn impacts your weight, which is right back to your pain. It sounds like it's hard.
It's very hard. Some days it's really hard to move around at all.
I bet. What have you tried in the past to deal with this, to cope with your pain?
And I think I exercised for a while, but that it would hurt more. And so I kind of got away from that. And it's just kind of hard to get up and do anything when you're hurting really bad some days.
Of course.
I took naproxen
for
pain for a while.
How'd that work for you?
It worked off and on, but I didn't want to become dependent on it.
Oh, of course.
So I kind of stopped taking it. I didn't like some of the side effects of it.
You bet.
But at the same time, I'm not on it. I'm dealing with the pain and, like we said, the depression and the anxiety of not going out.
You bet. I noticed in your chart, pardon me, I noticed in your chart that you filled out the health screener in the lobby, and you scored a 5 on that. So let me explain that a little bit to you. That is a screener that we use to see if someone is struggling with depression. And usually a score of 1 to 2, we kind of don't really worry about that. But 5 is something we really worry about. And it sounds like your depression is kicking up a little bit more.
Yeah, lately it has been.
So in my hot little hand, I have the PHQ-9. Would it be possible for you to sit just for a quick minute with me in this room and fill this out just so I can get a better grasp on what's going on with your mood?
Sure, that sounds like it would be helpful.
Awesome. And now, through the magic of recording. John, you know, I've scored your PHQ-9, which we totally just filled out. And according to this, you're at moderate to almost severe risk of depression. It sounds like those symptoms are really kicking up for you. You know, as of this point, with scores like this, normally the things that I would recommend to people, like diet, better sleep, healthy exercise, support system, I think that we might be a little bit past that. Can you tell me how you
Yeah.
think about maybe trying an antidepressant?
I mean, are there a lot of side effects to worry about and stuff like that, or?
Well, it's kind of like your experience with your pain meds. Some people have side effects, some people don't. Most people in our clinic, we start on either Prozac or Paxil first. And the most common side effect that people talk about is dry mouth.
Oh, it's like just drink more water.
Drink more
or
water,
Something along those lines.
which is actually a really healthy thing to do when you're feeling anxious. It helps flush your body out.
Oh, really?
So maybe
that's
it wouldn't be all bad. Also, antidepressants also combat anxiety symptoms. And I know that you mentioned you're struggling with that as well.
I've thought about being on antidepressants before, but I thought I would get more anxious sometimes because I didn't want to be on something that I needed and had to have all the time and depended on.
Mhm. You know, I think of antidepressants as really functioning like insulin. We don't give type 1s or type 2s a hard time for needing those medications, right? Because they improve the quality of life.
True.
Just something to think about.
Okay.
So I want you to think about that. I'm going to let Dr. Cullen know that you're thinking it over, but maybe that would give you some relief.
Be nice.
I think my big question for you, John, sorry, I forgot your name there for a minute. I think my big question for you, John, when I was looking at your file and when Doc Cullen told me to come in, I think my big question is what area of your life do you want to focus on? I've heard anxiety, depression, pain, weight, your social support system. Sometimes when people are trying to make life improvements, it can seem like too much.
I was gonna say when you said put it that way, it sounds like a lot.
Right.
Like I don't know. Like I want to improve all those things, but to do them all at once it doesn't sound like
It's
a good plan.
unrealistic. I like to think about this as being an elephant, right? You can't look at the whole elephant. You're just focused on the one little part that you're dealing with right now.
Sure.
What is the one area of your life that you want to work on to improve?
Now it's hard to make a choice. Like you were talking about with the feedback loop, I just the pain is probably the biggest thing. 'Cause it makes me not want to go out or do anything physically active
You bet.
or exercise or anything like that. So maybe that would be the best starting point.
I think that's lovely. So let's talk a little bit about your pain. You mentioned that sometimes exercise made it worse, but sometimes it made it better. What type of exercises were you doing?
Well, I was trying to do more running and walking, and a little bit of weightlifting, but
Okay.
like I usually feel it most of my back, and so those kinds of
Oh,
things, it
that's
doesn't really
hard.
help. Yeah.
You bet. You know, one of the nice things about living in Valdez is that the pool at the high school, it's free. Have you thought about maybe going to lap swim?
I haven't. I kind of had thought about different activities that would be lower impact on my back, but I hadn't thought about swimming.
Maybe swimming would be a really good option for you. Do you have a smartphone?
I do.
Awesome. So on your smartphone, let's pull up the City of Valdez, their website.
Okay.
Let's click Parks and Rec, pool schedule.
Oh,
There
awesome.
you
There's a
go.
lot of different times I could go.
So do any of these times meet your schedule?
Absolutely. I mean, I can go in the mornings.
Cool. So let's come up with a goal for you. I like to look at 14 days of time, right? I feel like 14 days is enough time to make a change, but it doesn't feel overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So over the next, let's half that, over the next week, how many days do you want to make it to the pool? What seems like a realistic one for you? Don't say 7 out of 7.
I was going to say maybe 3.
3 sounds great.
Yeah.
So 3 of 7 days you're going to make it to the pool.
Okay.
Are there any barriers standing in your way to getting there?
No, I have a vehicle to get there. Do you need like a pass to get in or anything like that?
No, one of the nice things about living at the end of the pipeline is, man, we have a lot of services that are available for free. Care of the oil company.
True, true. Well, that'll be helpful then.
Yeah.
Otherwise, yeah, no, I shouldn't have any problem getting there, and there's no, fee or anything like that.
None. You just have to check in. I recommend there are lockers available for public use. You might just want to bring a
Oh,
lock. But I'll also say this, I can't tell you the last time we had a theft in those locker rooms. So if you forget a couple
that's good to
times,
know.
it'll be okay.
That would be something to worry about.
Yeah.
Yeah, good to know.
So I think we have a nice plan in place for you for dealing with your pain. You're going to talk with Dr. Cullen about antidepressants. Would it be okay with you, John, if in about 2 weeks I gave you a call just to follow up to see how things are going?
That'd be great.
Awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Is there anything, I'm sorry, excuse me, stop. Is there anything else that I can do for you today?
No, I think that's, like you said, manageable. I think it's a good place to start.
Awesome. So let's have that be our plan. Sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay. So John, thank you for your time.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go deal with my son.
Really.
All right. Thank you.